What was your summing up of the game plan and how effective it was?
Well, it was massively effective. Arsenal were limited to two or three half chances. Declan had one at the end, and I think that's all down to this. We wondered whether they would step on to Arsenal. They did at times, but most of the time they were dropped off into this bank of 4 and a 5, and the distances were so well. And they were doubling up, and they was aggressive, and Arsenal were moving it, and they wasn't doing themselves favours. Martin was, so they was moving it slow. But
yeah.
Newcastle were fantastic in this.
They were, and in a way, we've talked about Arsenal like the Thames barrier. You know, Newcastle did today what Arsenal are offering doing themselves, sitting deep. You know, doubling up here. You see Gordon getting all the way back. I mean, that's really seeing things through, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost playing like a doubling up fullback situation on that right side. Same thing was happening on the left.
And Arsenal ran out of ideas, Mark, didn't they? They just couldn't. When you're playing against a team that defend as well as Newcastle did today, you end up just floating one in, and that was Arsenal's afternoon. And it's credit to Newcastle and Eddie and the structure that he put him in.
Yeah. And credit to his team selection today as well, Eddie Howe, because he did make those changes.
Tonali taken out the team, so your Longstaff were Whitlow in that midfield. So Whitlock. So it was a workmanlike display, and everybody played their part. Joe Linton does an amazing job, doesn't he, on that other side as well. So both fullbacks, wingers getting back in. But the difference is the detail today. One ball in the box, and Isak gets on the end of it. And Arsenal needed to defend way better than they did, and that really has cost them the game today.
Yeah, talking about Arsenal defending, 10 goals in 6 games now they've conceded, Martin. 6 games without a clean sheet. Why do you think they're losing some of that defensive steel?
Well, over a period, obviously there's been different personnel, there's been injuries to the back four. I think this is the 7th different back four in 10 games. But look, that's a basic. It's all about touch tight in the box. And if you look, the first central defender, which is on that side, Gabriel, just gets a little bit disengaged. Look, there's one player there, and there are 2 Arsenal defenders. You've got to be able to deal with that when the ball comes into the box. And that was the one bit of, if they get a clean sheet today, if they deal with that ball coming in, it could have been, you know, a point that they take away. But because they get that wrong, and they've been so good at that away from home particularly, but they get punished by Isak today.
They've had such a steady structure, Arsenal. You know the 2 centre halves have been consistently fit. Ben White's not been fit, and they've had to move it around. Mikel's had to move it around, and that does disrupt you. It does. So I think I don't listen. They will get clean sheets, Mark, won't they? There's no doubt about that. And this is a rough ride, but the big test for them is their mentality and their personality, because they'll walk back. There's a lot of people tip them for the league, me included. You know, and I'm second guessing that now after what I saw today. But when they got to go back into that dressing room now, and the manager's got to lift them, the players have got to take ownership of it as well, because they got a hell of a week, because going to Milan in the Champions League, difficult game. Chelsea are on form, and the London derby, and I think they could find themselves 10 points adrift.
I wonder whether there'll be some slight changes. When Yeri came on, thought he did quite well when he came on.
Yeah, he was.
Trossard didn't have his usual game. There are players that can come in and make a change. Does Partey come back into the midfield? Does Ben White now move back to right back? So there's things that the manager can do, but it needs to find a better balance. And they just didn't. You didn't see any of their personality today in the way that they create. And Ødegaard today was missed probably more than I've seen at any point this season. Not enough creativity. Arsenal not being able to find all credit to Newcastle, but they didn't find solutions today to try and break that down.
Yeah, they can't get Ødegaard back quick enough, can they?
Yeah, do you know what's interesting? The subs have just gone out and done a little running session, and all 3 or 4 of the backroom staff are out with them. That's smart as well, because you're dealing with the lads in the dressing room who are going to be on the floor, but these lads are coming in. Some of these boys who just walk past us, they might be called upon in the Champions League and at Chelsea, because I'm sure Mikel will make changes, because Martin's right. Trossard was off it today. He's a fantastic player, but there will be changes, and they need to use all of them lads.
Guys, I just want to show you Arsenal's second half passes, because when we look at this, hardly any of them into the box. Does that just underline how much they're missing the creativity of Martin Ødegaard at the moment?
Without doubt. We know what he brings you when you press to win the ball back, when we're in possession, and that right-hand little pocket that he picks up. Arsenal weren't threatening at all. The 2 central defenders, Byrne and Shah, today. It was an easy afternoon for them. Okay, they had their midfield in front. They didn't really move too far. But nonetheless, Arsenal should be affecting that back line far more than they did. And they could have got away with it with Declan at the end there. Really good opportunity. He seems to back away from it. It's unusual. If he comes onto this, I mean, look, again, Saka, lovely teasing ball to that back post, and you thought, do you know what, lovely, that's going to hit the back of the net. And I know you weren't far away from me, Lindsay, and you breathed a huge sigh of relief when that went past the post.
That caused a few nerves inside St James's Park, shall we say. That was in the dying stages, but Joey has to score, doesn't he?
Listen, Deck gets it wrong. He'll be very disappointed with himself there. But it's going to bring back to that Arsenal centre-forward situation, you know, and I think of the great Real Madrid team, Carlo Ancelotti and Joselu, you play for them, who come in. You need to have an option at times, someone who can come on and just like we were saying, when Arsenal were playing it from side to side to side to side, the wingers were not getting no joy. So then what do? Saka's getting no joy out of Lewis Hall. Trossard's getting nothing out of Livramento on the other side. You're getting into the final third and you need to deliver it. But then you get the ball, you look up, and then you're seeing it's Havertz or it's Jesus or Martinelli in there. You think, I'm just thinking recruitment-wise, if you did bring a centre-forward, it doesn't have to be elite centre-forward who can do everything, but someone who's got great movement, someone who can get across someone who can finish that chance.
But Jesus could have moved more centrally. He could have, you know, you could have gambled a little bit more and just sent somebody else forward. I mean, at times there was one break when Gordon was running away and they just took it off him because Gabriel came back. So gamble a little bit more. They've got the players, they've got the pace to do that. I think back to some of the teams I played in, okay, when you had your likes of Henry and Pires really going for it, you know, just putting bodies forward, and it was just, there's a structure, and it's kind of like, no, let's create something else. Let's put a player more centrally. Wanyeri came on to do that, but I think you could have had 2 10s in there to make it more difficult and try and find a solution to find a way through, but credit Newcastle for that. They were very rigid and structured, and Arsenal couldn't break them down.
But is Joe right? Is it going to be costly, do you think, for Arsenal this season, not signing a goal scorer, a natural goal scorer?
I don't think it was a problem last season when you know that the goals they were chipping in. But right at the moment, I think the key player in all of that is Ødegaard. He was making it work, making it tick. And without him in the team, you can't find those pockets. You know, Saka's not as effective. Martinelli's not finding space. So it is difficult, and he can't come back in quick enough, I'm told. Somebody in my ear telling me that he'll be back for Wednesday, you know, and that's great news for Arsenal.
Yeah, the squad being tested this season, Joe, because the push to that title push last season was very much revolving around their ability to keep players fit.
Yeah, and this is why we laud Premier League champions and teams that win it multiple times, like the Manchester City team, because it's so difficult to do. You're dealing with it. You will deal with injury crises. You will deal with bad decisions. You'll deal with players having dips in form. You know, tactical problems. You know, so they will. Ødegaard coming back is massive for the club, because that just straight away, without doing anything, Mikel Arteta says nothing to his players from now until he puts Martin Ødegaard's name on the team sheet. That lifts the whole room, because he's a leader. But I just think that this team needs to take that next step. And I'm thinking solutions-wise in January, why not go and buy someone who's going to come on? You might buy him 3 or 4 times, 15 minutes to the end of the game, when you're throwing bodies into the box, something like that, just to mix it up. If it's good enough for Real Madrid, it's good enough for Arsenal.
You said before the game you still believed Arsenal could win the title. You had a change of heart?
I've had a change of heart, Linz. I've had a change of heart. I'm not quite doing the old Homer Simpson reversal yet, but I'm having a change of heart.